This country is in mourning, and as people grieve the 215 Indigenous children whose remains have been uncovered in Kamloops, BC, an outpouring of support can be seen and felt across the country. So along with all that grief are growing calls for accountability from the federal government and the Catholic Church. Cindy Blackstock is the executive director at the First Nations Child and Family Caring Society. She has been advocating for the rights of Indigenous children for decades. So Cindy, thank you for joining us. And the question that's rattling around for me right now, crucially, is how are you?
Well, I'm feeling really sad for these children. But I'm also feeling more determined to end the racial discrimination that the federal government is currently perpetrating against 165,000 kids. That's the least I can do to try and honor the souls of those 215 sacred little kids.
So that's an interesting answer, because it speaks to what I think we've been hearing for the last few days, is that people make reference to what happened in Kamloops as a what happened past tense. But I hear you saying, let's not talk about this in the past, let's talk about this in the present.
That's right. The opportunity is right now. We've got legal orders, Adrienne, where the federal government's been found to be racially discriminating against First Nations kids by providing them with lesser services because they're First Nations. That order came in 2016. The federal government said they would welcome the decision and they would implement it. They didn't do it. We're now at 19 non-compliance orders and procedural orders, and we're counting.
In your conversations that you've had with survivors over the past few days in particular, and to the extent to which you're comfortable talking about this, what questions do they have about what we are seeing right now with regards to Kamloops?
Is, will people keep their attention long enough to be able to demand the change that needs to be done to end the injustices? People have seen this groundswell of emotion before, and then public attention dies, and then the government keeps on with its wrongdoing, and then another crisis happens. Mm-hmm. This is our opportunity to break that cycle and make sure that the federal government ends its discrimination.
And I know earlier today there were calls for, again, an apology from the Pope. And some people hear that and dismiss it. But I'm wondering what the meaning of that would be, should it happen.
Well, I think it really is that statement of accountability, and the Vatican can do more than that. The Vatican can return the records from Rome back to Canada on residential schools so they can be examined. And the other thing that the Catholic Church can do is make reparations for these children. So there's three things that they can do right now.
And that would have real meaning, you think?
That would have meaning, because in those records, they may be able to identify some of these children, where they were buried, and we'd also get a better sense of what happened to the people who are the perpetrators of this wrongdoing. Well, were they dealt with in the Catholic Church, or is it like other Catholic Church scandals where these people are just passed on to another parish?
And in terms of the Government of Canada, accountability can take many forms, but crucially, what is the number one thing that you want to see happen from this government immediately?
Immediately, the federal government needs to stop litigating against First Nations kids, abide by the legal orders to stop the racial discrimination, and stop fighting residential school survivors in court.
All right, Cindy Blackstock, as always, thank you very much.
Thank you, Adrienne.